Okay, here we are on 91.7 WLFR Pomona, Strange Ways Radio here, welcoming from the UK, the Gold Needles. Welcome, sirs, and thank you for making the time.
Pleasure. That's absolutely fine. Delighted.
Great. All right then. Can you give us a rundown of the band members joining us here, and tell us about the one who is not here also.
Shall I start?
Okay,
so
you start, yeah.
I'll start. So the one that's not here is Simon Dowson, who's our singer and rhythm guitarist. He unfortunately can't make it tonight. So Simon, I play keyboards, double time tambourine, which I do spectacularly well, as the other two will attest.
And you're introduce yourself also. Introduce your name also.
Okay, I'm Mark English.
Very good.
Okay, so shall I pass down to Dave Burbage? Go on, Dave.
Sure.
Yeah, hi there, Dave Burbage. I'm lead guitarist with the band. And over to you, Carl.
Hi, I'm Carl Slaughter. I'm bass guitarist and harmony vocalist. And that's basically what I do.
Very good. Welcome again, guys. Okay. Tell us about your band, the Gold Needles. How long have you been together?
Well, us three, as you see at the moment, have been together quite a lot longer than the Needles, haven't we, lads? I think we first started a band in about 2008, was it? And Mark,
we've known each other a while. Dave and me have been friends for a long time. And Simon and me were in a band together back in 1985. So we've all known each other a long time and worked with each other on different projects. But as the Gold Needles, we came together in 2015. So we've been together 5 and a bit years now.
Okay, awesome. All right. What our listeners might know you from previous bands. You might want to mention your history some or not.
Well, previous bands have always been like local bands doing stuff. So not names that any of the listeners would have ever come across.
Okay. All right.
We nearly continued with a setup when we were called, what was it, Cherry Mosaic?
Cherry Mosaic, yeah.
That's a cool name.
But for various reasons, that just sort of fizzled out a little. And then not long after...
And morphed into the Gold Needles.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Why the name the Gold Needles? How did you pick that name?
Shall I answer that?
Yes. It was Simon's idea, wasn't it?
It was Simon's idea, and he'd come across something that he'd read, and it was to do with Chinese folklore and medicine, and apparently it's Chinese. The Chinese believed that if you inserted 15 gold needles at certain parts of your body, you would achieve immortality, and Simon quite liked the idea of that, so hence the name of the Gold Needles.
Yeah. He's still trying, isn't he?
He later told me, and I didn't realise this, I don't know whether you two know this, but I'd seen a documentary on Bay City Rollers, and I'd said to him, did you realise that Bay City Rollers is exactly the same number of letters, and it's 3 words? And he looked at me and said, it's not a coincidence. So I think he chose it because it fitted with Bay City Rollers as well. So there you go.
Okay. Hey, Bay City Rollers, the Gold Needles is the same letters. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Spooky.
Oh yes. Cool band there too. I remember watching them as a kid on Saturday morning TV. Actually, that was funny.
It was very called Saturday Night.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, a great song.
But it was very uncool for a boy or a young teenager to like. It was very much a girl band over here. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
But,
very much.
they influenced the Ramones. And
Yeah.
there's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
T-shirt where DD's actually wearing a Bay City Rollers T-shirt. But Saturday night,
Nice.
I think the Ramones based their entire career on Saturday night. Every song's written, you know. Somebody once said the Ramones have only got one song, but fortunately it was a good one.
Yeah, good. You know, they, you know, they certainly did keep a similar sound throughout. Definitely, yes. Okay. All right. And, tell us about your other influences on your music. And who inspired you? I know some might be obvious, but
Yeah.
let us know anyway.
Well, I've always, ever since I was a wee kid, been a huge Beatles fan,
Mm-hmm.
and that really got me into playing it, and McCartney's bass playing and all that business. But also, a little unusual for a kid my age growing up in England, I was really into the Byrds.
Oh, nice.
Particularly the era of where Clarence White and Skip Battin were in them, and Skip Battin's bass, greatly underrated. And that again really influenced hopefully the sort of way I play. But Skip no longer with us, unfortunately, but there's some amazing tracks. Precious Kate, Lazy Waters, where if you get a chance to listen to them, just listen to that bass. It's not technically brilliant, but it just does it. Over to you, Simon, or Mark. Mark's not here. Simon's here. Mark's not here.
Tell you what, let's do Dave.
You're going to do me. Well, very similar to Cal there, but I think like Mark, my tastes are quite eclectic at times. So I grew up on David Bowie and the Spiders from Mars, so a huge Mick Ronson fan. I don't know whether you realise Mick Ronson and the Spiders from Mars were all from Hull. So he was a great influence on my early years. He was the artist that probably got me into the guitar more than any other. But I love, like Carl, the Beatles, love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I think Mike Campbell's a really underrated guitarist. Again, quite melodic solos, which I really like. I've not been a thrash player or, solos at 1,000 miles an hour. But I, like Mark, he's got me into all sorts of things. Do you know a band called the Decemberists?
Oh yeah, great band.
Yeah, absolutely love the Decemberists. We've seen those at least 3 times when they've been over to the UK.
They are fairly recent though, but yeah.
But I go back to liking the Byrds. I like the Kinks, a lot of the 60s bands.
Oh yeah, great.
I've got 2 older sisters. So I grew up with them playing the Beatles continuously as a kid, so it's just in there. I love the stuff.
Awesome. And Mark?
Again, I massive Beatles fan. My 2 favourite bands are the Beatles and then the Stranglers, who were very different sort of bands, but very musically.
Oh yeah.
In terms of building songs and harmony and vocals and what have you, and not as far apart as you would think. So those are my 2 favourite bands. I like a lot of late 70s new wave stuff. Huge Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers fan as Davies. You see the link between the Beatles, the Byrds, and Tom Petty. There's very, very close links there.
Nice.
I've got a huge. I think as always all of us have. God, that was not easy to say. We have very eclectic taste, and I think as you get older, your taste broaden massively. So I can listen to the Sex Pistols and then put Simon and Garfunkel on, and I like them both equally. So yeah, I like a lot of stuff. Talking for Simon again, he's a big 60s fan. He likes melody. He likes a lot of the glam rock stuff in the 70s. And Simon likes stuff he likes some prog stuff as well, doesn't he? He likes King Crimson and bits of Moody Blues, things that he's didn't particularly grow up with, but has discovered as he's got older. Like Dave, I've got an elder brother So I suppose when I started to listen to music when I was pretty young, my elder brother in the sort of mid-70s was bringing home Alice Cooper and Kiss, who I can see
Oh,
you've got
nice.
and
Oh,
he was
yeah.
bringing that sort
Love
of
them.
stuff home. So I was listening to some quite hard, dark stuff, from, quite a young age. So, and equally stuff like Slade, and then a little bit later he was coming home with, God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols and Nobody Go by the Stranglers and stuff like that. So you start to form your musical tastes, quite early on.
Yeah, nice. Since you mentioned the Stranglers, I was lucky enough some years back to meet and interview Hugh Cornwell when he toured down here. A great show he put on. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
awesome.
I've met Hugh, I think 2 or 3 times.
Nice.
And he's a lovely guy, very affable, really, really easy to get on with. Apparently, last time he played in Hull, I know the promoter rang him and driving up, and he'd said to him, "Oh, you're on your way." And he said, "Yeah, I'll be there about 5:30." So the promoter said, "Oh, great stuff." He said, "Is there anything I can get for you for when you get here? Will you be hungry?" And he had a little think, and he said, "Hull." So promoter said, "Yeah," and he said, "Fish and chips." He said, "If you can get me fish and chips, I'll be happy." So the promoter went out, got him some proper fish and chips from Hull, and Hugh Cornwell had his fish and chips before he went on stage.
Nice. Okay. Tell us about your new album that is coming up. We already played the angle for it last week, about which I think is the title track as well.
Dave, go on, you speak about it.
It is, yeah. What's Tomorrow Ever Done for You? Yeah, that's the title track.
So tell us.
Tell us about the.
It's very different to the last one, isn't it? I think I can say more as an outsider, and so much as I don't get involved in the writing, so I can see how the lads have changed since the previous album. You see, and it's a little darker, very dark in some points. One thing I've noticed, I'd not realised before, is a lot of people say, great melodies, great happy bouncy tunes, but the lyrics behind them are really sometimes quite, as I said earlier, dark. You're bouncing along at this bed sort of jingly jangly stuff, and it's talking about something that you wouldn't expect to accompany that kind of tune. And I think that's even the case with the actual track. What's Tomorrow Ever Done for You, isn't it? We approached it thinking kind of Hey Mr. Spaceman, and I thought it sounded a bit like What Am I Doing Hanging Around by the Monkees. And then the lads sort of, well, have you seen the lyrics? Oh yeah, right. It's a bit soul searching and stuff. So well done, boys. Well done.
Nice.
It's a progression, isn't it, from the last album? The last album is a lot more sort of jangle pop, and when we were writing it and recording it, we sort of positioned it like if we were a fictitious band, and the album was coming out somewhere in between Rubber Soul and Revolver. What sort of feel would it have? So the last album, we were working along that. So it's quite an upbeat, quite jangly, quite a summery album through a window. The new album, as Carl says, is a lot darker and a lot rockier, a lot harder in places. But it's still, packed full of hooks and melodies.
It's almost if we've gone on to the White Album now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. And the title track, the What's More Ever Done for You, is like irresistibly catchy. Immediately you hear it, you start bouncing along, and they say proper earworm. It gets into your head, and it's one of those. I mean, Simon wrote it, and he turned up and said, "I've got this song. This is the sort of feel. and we, put our stuff on it, and it became what it became. But following, what Tom Petty used to say, Tom Petty was very much a don't bore us, get to the chorus. And what's tomorrow ever done for you? Starts with the chorus. It's the old dancing Queen ABBA trick, and she loves you, straight in with the chorus.
Right.
Hit with that straight away. And I think it works for that.
Okay, cool. All right. With it being a little bit darker right now, just to play devil's advocate, has the craziness of 2020 seeped in? Okay, seeped in or influenced it somewhat?
I reckon it must have done, even if it was subconsciously, don't you?
Yeah.
That's, obviously recording was a bit strange, social distanced recording.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think even if you didn't sort of like outrightly admit and think about it, I don't see how it couldn't have affected us. I don't see how it couldn't affect anyone, to be honest, what's been going on. And obviously, it's still with us.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
I think that, yeah, as I say, subconsciously, it's always there. It's always sort of in the back of your mind. Like I say, if you're recording this weird way we had to do, then you couldn't avoid being affected by it. So I don't know what you two think. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Carl. It was a tough one to record. I mean, we had probably most of the songs partly recorded before the lockdown kicked in the UK. But there was still a lot of work we had to do on the tracks. So it was basically when there was a brief respite in the lockdown in the summer, we managed to meet at Mark's and do some recording out in the garden, which, wasn't ideal. And then a lot of it I had to bring back, and I just worked a lot of the guitars that I put on. I just did in my home studio as an after process from what we managed to get recorded as and when we could. So it's been a tricky album to record, this one, really.
We had to work when we got sort of like little windows. We had to work really swiftly because we knew we only had short periods of time that we could work together. So we would try, and even if it was a fairly basic sort of demo track that somebody would record literally with just an acoustic guitar on a phone, so they could send it out to everybody else and say, look, this is the idea, have a listen. So we were turning up barely knowing the songs and learning them really quickly, and just getting the basics of the track down as far as we could, so that afterwards, as Dave said, he could build up the guitars, I could put keyboards down. And we had to work to click tracks all the time because we couldn't get into a studio to use a drummer. So once we had the tracks, fortunately, the click tracks meant that we'd recorded everything in time. We then sent the tracks away to a guy that we know lives down south, who's a cracking session drummer. And we talked to him at length about what we wanted the tracks to sound like. And he came up with some brilliant drum ideas. In fact, everything he came up with, he'd said to us, look, if you don't like it, just let me know and I'll re-record it. I think everything he came up with, we said straight away, yeah, we love it. Go with that. So once we got all the tracks together, we mixed them here, sent them across to the States, where Kurt Ryle, House of Vibes, drummer of the Gripweeds, he mastered them. He added a little bit of harmony vocals on a couple of tracks, and what else did he do? We remixed Dead Man's Hand. Larry Fast remixed I Get the Pressure, and somehow we managed to pull all the threads of it together to come up with the finished product, which we're really pleased with.
Fantastic. All right. Hey, any particular favorite tracks? I know that the title track is the single, but any any others that particularly stand out for you?
My personal other favourite is Billy Liar.
Ah.
I think it just hits you as it gets going. Billy Liar, then wham into it. I think it's great. I think it's a really good track. I'm proud to have sort of contributed to it in the way I did. And it had quite a bit of airplay a while ago, didn't it, Mark? I think. And
it was released as a standalone single in March last year. So that was always intended for the album. But
okay.
it came out as a bit of a taster.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, I like Billy Light. I Get the Pressure. I think Larry did a great remix of it. And to be honest, there's not a track on the album that I don't like. I like them all in different ways. I like The Story of My Life. I think Dave plays some lovely heavy Steve Jones influenced guitar on it, and I like what you did with the little toggle at the end. So, Dave, over to you.
Rick Ronson tribute, that.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Okay. Speaking of Dave there, okay. For our radio listeners who can't see the Zoom video here, you have a nice collection of guitars on your wall. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you actually used on the album?
His wife has never seen all these, has she?
In somebody else's house.
Yeah, they're not real.
That wallpaper's lovely.
I'm
an expensive wallpaper.
Yes. Right. What probably my main guitar, it's just a go-to guitar now, is the Fender Strat. I've got there, it's a US Strat. Love that. That's just my usual go-to guitar. More so on the last album, I used the Rickenbacker predominantly on that one for the jingle jangle, birds type sound we had on the last one. There's a 12-string acoustic we use as a backing acoustic guitar on tracks, and I've got there's a PRS that I use on some tracks. Live work, I tend to take the Strat out because it's such a versatile guitar. You can get most of the sounds I want out of the one guitar.
Nice. Okay. Mark and Carl. Would you like to say something about the tech you use?
Well, I use a P bass. It's like 20 odd years old. It's been with me that long. I'm attached to it. I've got a couple of other ones that occasionally creep up. I've actually got a lovely Hofner violin from about 65 at home, which I really would like to introduce. But for the I'm too scared to bring it out in case anything happens to it. but no, my mainstay is the precision of P bass, which it does what I want it to do, basically. So I'm quite happy with that at the moment. So
very good.
I use a Nord Electro, which is fantastic. It's great for authentic or replica organ sound. So it's got a great Hammond B3 sound on it, great Fox Continental. I use those a lot. It's great for electric pianos. So I use that predominantly, and then I also use a Korg synthesizer on some other stuff. So yeah, that's me pretty much.
Nice. Okay. Hey, have you guys ever been able to tour? Okay, tour in the States.
Oh, if only.
If only.
I've never even been to the States. Have you been to the States?
Oh, we would love to have you.
Yeah, I've never been. Have you been to the States, Dave?
No, Canada. That's the nearest.
Oh yeah, yeah. Carl, have you been?
No, I never have. It would be something. It would be something if we could pull that one off.
We'd love to come across.
I did have a plan for this year. If it hadn't been for the coronavirus, I was supposed to be going on the Californian road trip this year.
Oh.
My wife and I were going to travel to Los Angeles and then drive up the Pacific Highway up to San Francisco. But of course, that all went out the window with the pandemic.
I don't remember you running that past me.
I mean, the sad thing is, at the moment, we can't even tour our local city, if you like, can we?
Yeah, it's a shame right now.
So,
it's been rough, I know. Okay, have you done what? Okay, what some bands do? and some put on virtual shows online?
We've shied away from it. We've done that on purpose, because you know, without being disrespectful to anybody else that's doing it, it's just not the same.
Mhm.
And it's not the same as a musician. It's not the same watching it. I love live music. I go and see a lot of bands, and I go to lots and lots of gigs. And much as, you know, sometimes I'll watch something on TV and quite enjoy it, it's just not the same as being there and connecting with other people and sort of feeling the air move around you, you know, as you know, as a band start up, and, you know, you get that, you know, that feeling of excitement. That, so for that reason, we've shied away from doing it, because we just don't, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that.
All right. On a related note, here's a question that I like to ask a lot of the artists and bands that come on my show. What would be your dream gig if you haven't had it yet? All right. But the kind of show or venue or both that would be your bucket list.
Well, I've already achieved mine.
Oh, really? Tell us.
Yeah, we played at the Cavern in Liverpool twice.
Oh, wonderful.
And that, you know, that's it. I'm finished.
Yeah,
now.
that's nice. Yeah.
You know?
But you haven't topped there, I know. Wow.
That was such an experience, such an honor,
Oh.
such
A
a
lot
wow.
of history
I mean,
there with the
still-
Beatles. Oh, yeah.
still pinch yourself, you know. Wow, I've done it. We've done it. And well, that as I say, whatever else we do, that's my top. Unless we play the, well, you can't go to the Shea Stadium, but it's not there anymore, is it? So,
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah.
But there you go. Yeah, that's mine anyway.
Okay. Mark and Dave?
Yeah, for me, I would say the same. Playing at the Cavern was just
Wow.
a dream. It was just fantastic. I mean, there's other places that I'd love to play at, but the fact that I can say, yeah, I've played the Cavern. We played the Cavern with the Golden Eagles twice. It's hard to beat. That.
Wow.
In fact, we've only played it 290 times fewer than the Beatles.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. All right. Dave. Same answer, or what do you have?
The
Absolutely.
Two, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Were fantastic. I mean, the first one especially, we're on the, I don't know if you know the Cavern, there's 2 stages in there now. There's the smaller stage, which is the typical view in the arches that you always see the Beatles playing. That's small stage, but that was fantastic. I think you'll agree, lads.
Yeah, it's just
Wow.
Just beyond the stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, okay. Hey, does it look different when you're there in person than the pictures and videos we've seen?
I think, well, personally, and I think a lot of people say this, it's not quite as big as you expect. But then again, it's like most things, you know, you see a football stadium on TV, then you go to it, and it's never quite the size you think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't take anything away from it.
No.
You know, it was the fact that, you know, that it was crammed, you know, plenty of people in. And, you
good.
know, just, but yeah, that was my only thing. Yes, it's really not this big.
The thing with
what
it
the,
as
what
well
the hell?
that I noticed was that the proper music fans that are in there. So when we played, we're on that little small stage, and you look out, and it was crammed. We'd never played the place before. The people there never heard our songs before, but you could see they were listening.
Yeah.
And by the time you got to the second chorus, they were like singing along. It was like, I remember we did Daydreamer's song, and they were all singing along to this song, and it was like, this is
you've never heard it.
It's like, wow.
I was talking to, you know, a couple of older guys off stage, and, you know, they were saying, yeah, well, we played it back in the day, you know, in the 60s and that, and they're there thinking, wow, this is just a part. This is living history. We're in it. It's fantastic. So,
yeah. Oh, fantastic. You know, that is kind of like, hey, over here in the States, you know, before before they closed it down, that is kind of like how CBGB's was for the punk rock scene. And
Excuse me.
And personally, I missed out on going to CBGB's, and that is just one of the things that I've always regretted,
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, I have asked that question to a lot of bands and some artists, and I've gotten some interesting questions. Usually they will say Madison Square Garden, all right? Some of them say say some cool things like Red Rocks, which is outdoors and huge and it's natural, but personally, I think you guys have us all topped right now. I'm with the Cavern.
The top of most boys.
That is great. That is great. Okay then. And all right then. And time is flying by. We do need to make time for your music as well. How can people find you online?
To you, Mark.
You go on.
We're very active on social media, so you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Twitter, just the Gold Needles, Instagram the same. We're currently rebuilding our website, which will be relaunched shortly, and the website is simply www.thegoldneedles.com. So that will go live again shortly. But if you type the Gold Needles into Google, invariably we come up because it's such an unusual name.
Very good, very good. Okay, thank you again for making the time to talk to us. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Mark, Dave, and Carl. Great time, and send our best to Simon as well. Then,
well.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been good chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you. Really
likewise. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, mate.
See you later. See you guys.
Bye now.
See ya. Okay. Stop.